facebook.com/DZRJ810AM or on YouTube, channel DZRJ810AM Radio Bandido.
The views and comments of the hosts and guests are not necessarily those of the station.
Hi, I'm Nicole Jacinto. Join us on Healthline with 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏 as we discuss the latest health and medical topics with doctors from 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏. For a healthier and uplifting lifestyle, tune into Healthline with 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏 on DZRJ 810 AM, Radio Bandido TV. You've got questions, we've got answers.
Watch and listen to Healthline with 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃, Mondays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Airing on Sky Cable Channel 224 and on all DTT boxes. Simulcasting online on Facebook and YouTube. Listen and watch on your mobile devices. Just search DZRJ Radio Bandido.
You're about to experience Healthline, a show where doctors from 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃 interact with you for a healthy, uplifting lifestyle. Moderated by Nicole Jacinto. You've got questions, we've got answers. So welcome to Healthline.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Healthline with 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃. I'm your host, Nicole Jacinto. Today we're going to talk about health goals for the new year, and with us is Dr. 𝗪𝗪, a general medicine specialist from 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃, of course. And I forgot to turn my forgot to put my phone on silent, but anyway, Happy New Year coming up soon to everybody. So, how are you today? How are you this evening, Dr. 𝗪𝗪?
Hello, I'm good.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here with us. It's such a busy season, and I know for doctors also, like you're either taking in emergencies or basta you're on standby for your patients. And I know the holiday rush is around and is still on. It's after Christmas of 2024, but you're gearing up, and people are also gearing up to keep celebrating the start of 2025. And we'd like to discuss health goals for the new year on the show today. Doctor, I'd like to ask you, why is the new year or the start of the new year for most people, the calendar, like what we're gonna celebrate in a couple of days, why is it a good time to think about health goals for the new year, in your opinion, as a doctor and someone who's been around people who usually want to start a new quest when it comes to their health?
The new year feels like a fresh start, diba? New year, new you. That's really our goal before the beginning of the year. So it's actually a perfect time to think about what we can improve on, how to make ourselves better, especially our health goals. So,
okay. Have you found, doctor, that with a lot of do a lot of patients approach you before the new year, or maybe not right before, but maybe before the holiday rush and the holiday celebrations start? Do you find that a lot of people already like make appointments or have that thought in mind? Does it come from them or family members or referrals from doctors?
actually, some people who are very busy, they already schedule.
Yes.
But then for some people, they would like to enjoy the holidays first,
Mhm. And
probably the first week. Then we receive a lot of appointments already soon
Yeah.
after.
Okay, this is in the Health Hub of 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃, right, doctor?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So yeah, then so soon after the first week, everyone's like booking a slot, and I overdid it over the holiday season.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, last week we were just talking about how to stay, talking about heart health during the holidays. So I can imagine that yes, after the first week, after people are winding down and getting over their hangovers of sorts, they're booking appointments.
So sometimes they don't want to book yet. Some people who
Mhm.
ate a lot and drank a lot don't want to book yet too.
Yes, because
Yeah. exercise first. I'm gonna exercise first and lose some weight before I go back to my doctor. But some people who kind of missed it um at the end of the year, they want to do it at the beginning because it's usually sometimes I think it's more of the senior
Crowd.
yes crowd who usually book early on so that they wouldn't forget during the middle of the year or towards the end of the year when they become busy.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, doctor. I mean, that's a good thing to point out. Like the senior crowd or people who maybe they know they have to get checkups, and so that's right. Because in the middle of the year, it also gets busy, or towards the end of the year, and it is. I do find that it's a good time to book other people. I book other people. It's mostly instead of myself, like towards the end of the year or the beginning of the year, and then, well, also in the middle of the year. Yes, I book a lot of people to get their, kind of like make them get their checkups and, their follow up checkups on things. But I can, that where in our culture where I want to lose weight first before I see the doctor. It's because you don't want to get a kind of a bad score, when your checkup, right? Yeah, a bad grade because especially if like you overdid it or you think you overdid it over the holidays. What do you have to say to those people, or those types of patients, in terms of encouraging them to just come in already?
Actually, it is good to have an executive checkup anytime, as long as you go. Just like
Yes.
so many people. I was gonna ask, when do you book yourself?
Me? When do I book
Yeah.
myself? Okay, yeah, okay. So that should be one of my goals this year because, as I said, I book a whole bunch of people, but I do not book myself that often. And also, yeah, okay. So now it's going to be a confessional to Dr. Cornejo. Yeah. Also, because before when I'd book myself at the same time, try to do it as a not like, here's a family activity. Let's all get our checkups together. But then
You won't be able to focus on yourself.
exactly, you got it. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to skip the rest of the test because I have to I mean, attend to one or the other person or their concerns. It's not like they're really needy. It's just that it's also me. And, like if somebody I feel they need to be accompanied here or the other one there. I'm kind of like a busy person going back and forth between, I don't know if your executive health hub is still set up the same way, but sometimes we'd occupy like a number of rooms beside and across each other. Then I'd be running back and forth.
Okay. I know what you mean.
And then
I'm also like that to titas,
yeah.
parents-in-laws.
And then you guys would be chasing me like, Mom, it's really time for your test. I'm like, I think I'll just cancel the rest. So you're right. I do need to do that for myself. So that will be one of my health goals this year, to get the checkup. And the other doctors from Makati Med and some who actually treat me as a patient or have treated me over time will be like, yay! Okay, yeah, so I have to do this now because I've said it to you, Dr. Cornejo. Okay.
And
So
this is recorded.
and this is recorded and broadcasting and can be watched over and over again. Okay, so I have to stick to my word.
So
But
I'll see you at the health hub.
yes, you will see me. You will see me. And speaking of that, doctor, what are the health goals what are the different health goals that there should be, for people for individuals of all ages? Like, can we break it down to like babies and then children, or children and teens, adults, and then our older or senior or geriatric? Is that still a proper term to use, geriatric patients? I'm going to be there anyway, so I don't find it. Yes. When it comes to babies, doctor, what are the health goals that should be focused on in the upcoming year or on any time actually?
So actually, since you mentioned, let's start chronologically. So for
Yes.
baby first, so we have to ensure that they're properly nourished and
Mhm.
that we monitor their growth and development, especially their milestones.
Mhm.
And it's also good to promote physical activity for them, because nowadays we see parents, using the
The
gadget or
the gadget
iPad.
for the baby.
Sometimes, yeah, for the baby. So, it's actually not that healthy for the baby. But
Mhm.
of course, sometimes we are pushed to use these new technology to help us take care of our children. So, and the most important is making sure that they get their vaccinations at
Mhm.
the proper time. And for children naman, focus on making sure they get uh, good sleep
With sleep.
and rest. Physical activity, nutrition is always so important, that they eat a well balanced diet
Mhm.
with fruits and vegetables.
And vegetables. Yes.
Pickles to make them eat, and also spending less time on screens.
Doctor, can we talk about that for a bit? You did
Mm.
mention even with babies, no, they do need physical activity. So even if it's like just playing like with the parent, even if
Yeah.
the crib or the mat floor, I mean, this shows that I haven't really cared for an infant in a long time, or maybe never at all. I don't know. I'm not that good at it, but I'm better with no, adults. And anyway, let's go back. Sing. I mean, because babies used to play, right? Like from what I remember when I was younger, and even just maybe crawling, or if they can't walk yet. So, are you seeing now a trend where gadgets are used more? Like, of course, we don't want to judge the parents or the primary caregivers of the baby, because nowadays, if there's a lot of life, just seems more hectic. I mean, we keep coming up with technology and advancing to help ourselves, but it sometimes seems like things are even more complicated or faster in some areas than we'd like it to be, and we're catching up. So even as a baby, this physical activity is very important.
Yeah, of course. Yes. Actually, not just physical activity. I think most important is um
Interaction.
social interaction, because babies kind of mirror what you do, so they mimic you. Well, so you're coming from uh not so much experience with babies. I'm coming from a
A
lot
lot.
of experience with
Okay, tell
four
me, tell me.
four boys
Oh, okay,
whom
okay,
I breastfed for 2 years each.
okay, okay.
And their gap is every 2 years also. So
That's
it's
pretty
kind of
close.
close. Yeah, it's
For
kind of close.
you, I mean, for you to be doing the same thing and managing all of it, kudos
Mhm.
to the doctor. I mean,
Thank you.
yeah.
So yeah, I believe the social interaction is the most important, because that's how they learn about language, the facial expression. Sometimes you don't even have to say
Yeah.
something, just by your face. Like
Mhm.
if you brighten up, they can smile. So that's how they reciprocate. And I think that also builds the relationship of the caregiver
Mhm.
and the baby. Not just, I mean, it can be a grandparent, a tita, a relative, or
I love
a
you.
yaya, can
Yeah,
be,
yeah, yeah.
or
Yeah.
even
By the way, hi to my yaya.
family.
Yeah. Tata, hello. She's watching. She's 91 now. Ha,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, when I say yaya, I mean like she's really she took care of us. Okay. So, but yes, that's how you build the relationship, and then that's where babies also learn the social cues. And maybe I mean, do you find that if you interact, or the caregiver interacts with the baby more, that they will also be able to um to tell, like, if something is, perhaps, I mean, knock on wood, wrong with the baby, as opposed to if they have less interaction, and doing things, the physical, doing less fit spending less time being physical, like doing physical things together, like playing the way we used to without the gadgets and all of that?
Actually, you really would know. The video hanged earlier, but
Yeah.
I can
Heard my question? Would you like me to repeat
yeah.
it? Ah, okay, you heard it.
So, um, so, what's this? So with babies, you would know there's a different kind of cry. So
Yeah.
there's a cry. That's your question, right? How
Yes.
do you differentiate the different needs? So
Yes.
it's like, wow, sometimes,
Yes.
wow, they're wet, they're so wet, something like that. Or sometimes if they're just like pretending, just like that weaker cry, might just be they just want somebody to talk to them or
Tension.
be by their side. Or sometimes when they're already starting to walk, so that's the physical activity that they need. If they see that you're kind of anxious that they might fall, that's when they cry and become scared, and they don't want to go to the other side and try
Yeah.
to take the risk of falling.
Yeah, so you can there are a lot of benefits also to being able to tell the behavior. I mean, why they're behaving in a certain manner. I mean, a cry is a good example. We often say, like, some people who are not used to the baby, are not the primary caregiver. They will, or I mean, if the baby's on a gadget, you won't maybe not be able to tell if the cry is different already. Like, hey, that's a cry that I've not heard before. It must mean that something hurts. Okay, with kids, doctor, how is it? Because yeah, we talk about physical activity a lot for people who quote unquote need to exercise, like myself. But how about kids? I mean, usually nowadays we don't. What I noticed, or what I hear, is that kids don't get a whole lot of physical activity the way they used to, or the way like how it was when I was running around as a kid, literally climbing trees and getting scolded for being on the rooftop, and you better come down here, that's the kind of thing. So how is that? Like you were mentioning that, and nutrition, no, for kids and for babies and kids, nutrition. Can you talk a bit about what nutrition means when you talk about them? Because you did mention fruits and vegetables. Oh, you said they don't want to eat it, but there's also stuff that maybe we need to know as adults or caregivers, like what exactly how do you define being not malnourished? Because when we say malnourished, you might think, oh, it's just about starving a kid or a baby, but that's not it, is it, doctor? They have to have the proper.
Yeah, proper nutrition, like a well-balanced diet. So sometimes, well, I can share personal experience with my kids. So my kids, since they're all boys, they had a lot of physical activity.
Yeah, okay.
All I needed was one boy to run around, and the rest is going to follow.
Yes.
So I think it's more of the children now who are only one kid in the family. So that's the physical activity needs to be initiated by either a parent, an adult, or a cousin, or somebody else. Or sometimes what we do, especially with with our kids, we just say gadgets off and let's go out. We bring them out to the park, to the playground, because now most of us live in condos. There are a lot of people who live in condos, so there's not much space to move about inside the house. So you can ask them to come out, bring them to the clubhouse or the common areas. And sometimes, like, I'm more familiar in the Makati area, so
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
𝗄𝗏 Park, Legazpi Park. So even if they live in the buildings around, there's like a middle area, and usually the malls, they also have places for kids to run. So that we are not confined in the homes. If they're unable to go out of the homes naman, even at home, we can turn on the TV, YouTube, and just dance together during the pandemic. We did that with our kids because we were confined in the house. So let's just exercise together. We all need it.
That's a
So
great example, doctor, for people who might have to stay in confined spaces. Or that's a great example. Yes, I do remember we also used to dance together. I mean, I don't quite think of it that way anymore. Okay, but yeah, because I was not alone growing up. You're right. If one cousin or something initiates it, or they bring you to a birthday party or children's birthday party or reunions, and then you all kind of get together, and then that's where the activity starts. Okay, do you have any like goals for teens, or what do you usually see when it comes for teens and then adults and then older patients?
okay. By the way, I think I haven't addressed your question earlier about the well-balanced diet.
Oh,
So
yes, that's right. Thank you for reminding
so
me.
so like with my kids, they're done. For example, they're done eating.
Mm.
I usually give them the fruits. If they didn't take fruits, they love pomelo, so I peel it and then make subo na lang.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I cut an apple and then distribute, so that if they see that the older siblings eat the fruits, yeah, and vegetables, then they'll copy. The younger ones will usually copy.
Yeah.
And also, so there, just have a little fruit. In terms of vegetables, they usually like, let's say, broccoli. Oh, this is a flower.
Ah,
This is a
yeah.
flower. And then some of my friends, what they do is they mix the vegetables and turn it into a sauce. So they put it in
Yes.
on a pasta, or together with like beef and meat. So they should have actually, of course, carbohydrates are an essential, especially in the Asian setting.
Yes.
Rice, and then protein. They need meat. So it is good. Even early on, I think it's good that we train them to prefer white meat versus red meat. Um,
Yes.
and then, yeah, so sometimes the malunggay is so nutritious, so high in calcium that, I would tell my kids, oh, it doesn't even have any taste. So
Yeah,
just
that's right.
mouth.
It
So,
actually doesn't. You can. Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, we add it to tinola, to not naman sinigang, kangkong in sinigang. So the viand is already mixed with
Is
the
it?
different food groups. So there.
Yeah, that's great, doctor. I mean, thank you for giving that tip. And you can, at least you're telling us, like, look for innovative ways, like, or I mean, things that we do for grown-ups too, like turn it into a sauce, right? The veggie. So that's good for kids and babies as well. And some kids just end up having different types of taste as they grow up, but you can also develop that in your kids. You can try to, if they're very stubborn like me. I don't know. But I do like vegetables. Uh, okay.
Actually, with me, when I was younger, I didn't eat a lot of vegetables, but I loved fruits. But then when I got pregnant, I had to eat them for my children.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so it's carried over even post pregnancy,
I
post delivery.
I do love fruits too. I just I don't know why they don't give me fruits now. Very good, doctor. It's reminding me of what to put on my diet, as well as, aside from like other people's um diets, that I try to, like, remind them, instead of, I'm going to start doing what I say, basically. Okay. If my mom is watching this, she's gonna hold me to my word. Uh, Probably
So she's
watching
going
this.
to love me for it.
Yes. And then I will be like, Dr. Cornejo, I'm just kidding. Okay, so with teens, is it basically the same thing? And also, I had a quick question about kids and babies. Um, some parents might want to start avoiding. I've heard a lot of talk about this. Just between parents themselves, like making. Not I haven't. It's not studies or anything. It's not the news, but they're saying like, oh, I don't want to make. Some parents I've heard will say, I don't want to let my kid get too fat. Okay, which is understandable. But then some will say, no, I'm gonna let my kid eat whatever they want. Anyway, they're young. They're gonna run and burn it off. And then as I've seen these kids grow up, they grow up to be a normal weight anyway. Or sometimes the ones who are too conscious, that's when they're too conscious about like their kids getting fat. That's when like when they're older. I'm not the one using the word, okay, it's the parents. Like, I think my kid's too fat for their age right now, blah blah blah. So can I ask you, isn't fat also like essential for the body? I mean, fat in terms of the food group, and like what can you say about that issue where there are parents who are conscious about their children's weight?
Okay, so fat is of course very essential for our brains actually. That's why for babies, the breast milk has a lot of fat. And omega-3 fatty acid. So there are good types of fat and not so good types of fat. So we just need to choose the fat that we take in properly. Regarding obesity, there's actually one of the senior consultants that I've looked up to. He always says that obesity begins in childhood. That's what he always says. That's why I believe that you just need to let them have a balance. Let them eat as much as they can because they need the nutrition, the proper nutrition. As long as they eat good food, healthy food. Of course, sometimes you allow them to eat not so healthy food so that they do not crave when they're older.
Yes.
But that's between the two of us.
Okay. For that,
So-
okay. Yeah.
No, just
Don't
kidding.
let your kids watch this. Okay.
So, but the most important is they have physical activity, exercise, and they know that they should get it. Like before, if they're already on screen for an hour,
Mhm.
we really have to make them stand up,
Yeah.
try to walk, even just go around the house for what 10 times or do jumping jacks, something
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, uh obesity really begins in childhood, although as you mentioned, there are some people who kind of outgrow it
Mhm.
because they change their food preference. They also begin to exercise more. This is usually when they're teenagers
Mhm.
because of course they're more conscious of their bodies.
Mhm.
But we also have to remind them that um, the physical attributes is not everything.
Mhm.
What's important is what is inside and what we take in.
Yes.
So
Yes.
because there are a lot of other healthy kids and even adults who have a big bone structure.
Yes.
So they will really look big, but
Mhm.
they're actually healthy. So and we even for children, we compute for their BMI. So it's the determining if somebody's healthy will
Mhm.
really depend on their BMI. Like if they're pretty tall, they
Mhm.
shouldn't be their weight shouldn't be too low.
Mhm.
Or if they're a little bit on the small side like me, they
Mhm.
shouldn't their weight shouldn't be so high.
So it is
So
individualized when you compute their BMI and you take into consideration, of course, the height, the
yes.
weight, and what they eat. And as you said, if they're big boned or their structure is bigger, then you can't just base it on the weight, weighing yourself like everyone else. And as long as you're eating healthy things. Um,
So
I,
I
yeah.
think it's important that I'm sorry I
No, it's
interrupted.
okay. No, go ahead.
I think it's also important as parents or family members of these children. It's important that we assure them that
Mhm.
uh, whatever their physical appearance is, we will love them for who they are, um, and what's important is, let's say they study well, and that they always do their best.
Mhm.
And so goes with awards and all. I mean, awards are not everything. What's important is effort. That's what we always tell our kids.
Thank
Effort versus output.
Yes, thank you, doctor. That that makes even me feel good. I feel like you're saying it to me, so thank you, doctor. And it's true. I mean, if you, I guess, as long as you're healthy. I mean, love yourself no matter what your weight is at the moment, or what. Don't get a a don't get a bad, how do you say this, body image of yourself, because of what might be out there, in pop culture. Okay, I'm sorry, I keep shaking my computer. In pop culture, or what you see as models or certain body types. But as long as you're healthy, that's the thing. You don't have to be thin, but you just be healthy. And same goes for whatever the other attributes are that contribute to your health, which is also like your psyche and your mental health. Like, you don't have to base your intelligence or achievements off the standards of others so much, as long as you do your best, is what you're saying, I guess. Okay, thank you, doctor. How about for adult patients? What do you find are their goals usually? What goals do you have? Actually, before we get to that, why don't we take a short break? Okay, we'll just take a short break and we'll be right back.
You're listening to DZRJ 810 AM. We'll be right back after these reminders.
Hi, this is Dr. Gia Season and welcome to Makati Med Wellness Center. Located at Ayala North Exchange, the Makati Med Wellness Center is a warm and comfortable state-of-the-art lifestyle center where executive checkups and services that address holistic patient care and wellness can be done. We have a skin and laser hub, diagnostic imaging, health screening, mind and wellness care, and physical medicine and rehabilitation. The Wellness Center is equipped with modern facilities and staffed with competent healthcare professionals who are committed to deliver premium, personalized, and easy access healthcare services for both adult and pediatric patients alike. This is a great place to prioritize your health and well-being without having to be at the hospital setting. We are open from Monday to Saturday at 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the 7th floor of Ayala North Exchange, Tower 1 in Makati City. It is also accessible from the Makati Med Hospital through a bridgeway to Ayala North Exchange. For inquiries, you may reach us at these numbers. We look forward to serving you here at Makati Med Wellness Center.
You're back with Healthline, keeping you healthy. Moderated by Nicole Jacinto.
Welcome back to Healthline with Makati Med. I'm your host, Nicole Jacinto. We are still here with Dr. Cheryl Cornejo. Okay, doctor, we're talking about goals for children and teenagers and babies. Infants, I don't know the terms. Okay. just no puppies and no, just kidding. Okay, so doctor, what do you find? What should the health goals of adults and older patients be?
Okay, so for adults, it's more of the regular checkups and taking care of things like, as I've mentioned earlier, it's not just the younger ones, but also the older ones who need to ensure that they have a well-balanced diet, they get ample exercise, and they have themselves checked by professionals. So just like in the health hub, actually that's what we do. So the executive health checkups, which is important.
Doctor, for adults and for senior citizens or older people, what are the most important screenings, or let's say they're they don't, at this moment you don't have enough time or funds, or you're in a hurry and you just want to get the most important screenings, what would you recommend, and what does the health hub offer?
We actually have our basic 5 package. So history taking and physical exam, actually that's very, very important, because we discover with history taking, we discover like family history. There are a lot of chronic illnesses which usually are common in the family, run in the family. And by the physical examination, we also see the patient's physical health, the condition. So and then we have complete blood count. So blood is drawn, and urinalysis. We also see a lot of early signs of, like, let's say diabetes. You'll see sugar in the urine, or kidney problems, the same thing. And stool exam or fecalysis. We also have that, and chest X-ray. So the Philippines is endemic for pulmonary tuberculosis. So sometimes patients do not have symptoms or signs. They don't have weight loss, fever, or cough. But in the chest X-ray, you see, pulmonary tuberculosis. So our basic 5 are those things, and we can usually just add something, add additional services, especially if they have like a family history for breast cancer. Then we add a mammogram, even if they're still young. So the like.
Yes, thank you, doctor. So those are the basic 5. But okay, so when you mentioned the CBC, that's the complete blood count. That will have a number of things that, I mean, you'll be able to tell from those 5 tests, including that blood test. That's a blood test, no, and then the chest X-ray, the physical exam, and also the interview, no, or history taking. That will be able to give you a lot of information. And then if the patient wants to add on, or if you think like maybe, I mean, along your discussion, as you said, if they have a family history of this or that, or they're feeling something, and then at that moment they decide to tell you, because sometimes you don't, when you're there and you're thinking about it, come to think of it, I'm here already, I might as well to say what's been bugging me, like I've had this pain in my knee, or then that's when you can also add on tests. Can I ask you about the as you said, the urinalysis can show if there's sugar in, or more glucose in the urine, then that might be a sign of diabetes or being pre-diabetic. And then if it's the fecalysis, what exactly does the fecalysis or the stool show? And are there different kinds?
Well, for the fecalysis, we can see if there's like an ongoing infection in the gut, or sometimes we have the FIT test. So So there's blood in the stool, so it tells us probably the patient already needs a colonoscopy, so which is taking a closer look at the colon and the lower gastrointestinal tract. So those are also part of the services that we offer at the Health Hub, and they can do it so quickly, especially for very busy people. We just do it either overnight or just sometimes a few hours. We book it early on so that the most important thing is for patients to have it done. So we try to help them in whatever way we can and facilitate everything so that it meets their, let's say, their goal of 4 hours only or 8 hours.
You
The
have patients who
hospital.
come in and say that, yes, and who think,
Yeah.
not just think that, but
Yes.
actually tell you that. No,
Mhm. But it's good. At least we know that, they're making time for themselves, even with their busy schedules. And this is the only time. At least they're being honest, and
Yeah.
we know how we can work their schedule, or at least schedule some and prioritize some. Those
Yes.
more important first.
Yeah. So you're more reasonable than I used to be when I used to book people. Like, no, 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 you're going over. But I need to stay there for, and I order.
Maybe you're closer. You're closer to the doctor. That the doctor can tell you, no, you have to do all of this.
I know it's not the doctor; it was me. So it wasn't the doctor. And I was saying, no, 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 you're going there overnight. When I book the person, and then sometimes I'd be like, just check them out for everything. I remember one time when the doctor said, "Oh, what? Why? Who ordered an 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝘁𝗵 test for you?" And then it was my sister that he was speaking to, and my sister said, "She did." Not me. I was like, oh, I just wanted a baseline. He goes, oh,
Yeah.
your sister must hate you. He was joking around. But I just wanted a baseline for her. So anyway, that's the kind of thing that that particular sister and I like to do to each other. Like torture each other for stuff. I mean, not torture, but some people might think it's torture, but it's medical stuff. Like, you should get this test. Okay. We're weird like that, she and I.
But the truth is, you actually love each other so much that you want each other to be healthy. Because if conditions get detected early on,
Yeah.
we prevent more devastating illnesses later on, and it's easier to treat or sometimes prevent illnesses.
Yes. Actually, doctor, so those are the basic five that you mentioned. But for people who are a bit older, let's say, or when you take the history, because um, I would. Okay, so I'm stricter than you. Okay, so I'll just say, like, I'll often like to tell them you should get the spec 23 and the just at least once a year, and then get an ultrasound of your. Okay, I sound like someone like prescribing now, but I'm like, ask for an ultrasound. I mean, okay, I'm gonna tell you the stuff that I tell them to take, and you tell if you would like to add anything on or say, oh, that's not really necessary, unless, because maybe also for some reason we've seen doctors, and you're, of course, sometimes your doctor tells you what to take, no, and you know what to take, but tell me if I'm unreasonable so I can continue being unreasonable. I'm just kidding. Okay. I would say, like, get a chest X-ray, get a spec 23, and then ask for a CBC, and then also, with all the different types, get an ultrasound of your
Well, and
thyroid, and ECG, a 12-lead ECG, and then, if you think you have, if there's a heart thing going on, or you have high blood pressure, get it to the echo with Doppler, with Doppler flow. And then I'm like, oh, they have this, since you're only going to be there once a year, this Makati Man is this abdominal ultrasound. Yeah, and then either the if you're a female, either the mammogram actually, but or the okay, sonography, and then get a at least once, so at a certain age, get a what do you call this, an ultrasound of the veins and arteries in your leg, so that you know, so that you have a baseline. And then I don't want you getting DVTs, and then the vein thrombosis, and also get an ultrasound of your neck to check your carotid artery, so you have a baseline, and check out your TSH, T4, whatchamacallit,
Test.
yeah, what's it again? The for the what gland is that? Yeah, the thyroid you mentioned.
Thyroid. Yeah.
Also, at least if you get the ultrasound, they can also just check your thyroid. So, am I being super unreasonable if that's the first test I tell them to take, and just like
Well, well, if if the patients one have the funds for it,
yes,
you
that's it.
do all those. That would be better. Baseline, having a baseline of those and repeating some of them annually is good for patients. And then the other thing is, if they will allow you to do all those all at the same time, or I mean, if they allow you to get themselves admitted, because at the Makati Med Health Hub, if patients don't want to come go to the hospital like for 2 days, if it doesn't get completed in one day, they can just stay overnight, and then we're going to process everything and finish everything within a day. So that's usually the advantage of getting oneself admitted, because you start early on, and then everything is planned. There's a time schedule, and you do everything once you get in. And once you get discharged, we will just collate all your results, and then as an added service of the Makati Med Health Hub, free of charge, you can schedule an either online telemed or face-to-face interpretation of the results, of your results, with our doctors. And then if there are recommendations that need to be given to you, and if, let's say, you need to consult other specialists, subspecialists, then they will give that advice and recommendation afterwards.
Afterwards, okay. Of course, you need to know the results first, and then discuss it with the patient and all of that. So if you can, that was a thing. If you can afford it, then it's okay to get all those tests, like a baseline, or if your doctor recommends it. I mean, because a lot of times we'll say, okay, we'll get a checkup. Then what? If they ask me what should we really get, I'll be like that, you know. But and then as you said, some of the tests, not naman all, may be repeated on a yearly basis, or it depends. Like if you start seeing a doctor, then you could see which tests you might need to repeat on a yearly or maybe biannual basis, or maybe they'll say like, come back in 3 years for something. You guys might say you just need this for next year, based on what we see right now.
Yeah. So there are actually also some tests that need to be done at a certain age, and then some that needs to be repeated, especially if there are findings. So there are, like, for example, breast mass, if it needs to have surveillance and a repeat, like every 6 months or sometimes every year. So that's the repeat. And then for others, like let's say there's a finding in the liver scan or the fibro scan, it needs to sometimes also be repeated. But if, for example, you get a colonoscopy and it's within normal, so no need to repeat every year. every 10 years, probably.
Everything.
Every
So
10 years, unless there's like a family history. Sorry.
yes. No, please don't apologize. I was just gonna ask you, so doctor, what are the tests or just some of the basic tests that you suggest for people who are of a certain age? Maybe you can give us some examples, like you were saying, the colonoscopy or the breast scan or anything else.
Okay, so like in the 20s or 30s, someone would probably need the regular blood pressure and cholesterol check. And then, so if you order Spec 23, then that's a complete blood chemistry already. We will get a lot of information. That's a good baseline, especially if it's the first time that they're going to have their blood tested. And then cervical cancer screening also for women can be started then. And can have mammograms, or sometimes they would advise mammography and sonography, as you have mentioned earlier, of the breasts. And then prostate screening also with blood, and probably going to a urologist. And also ultrasound of the prostate. They measure the weight also of the prostate. And well, you mentioned earlier some of the diabetes tests. So and then for seniors, it's so important that they have bone density tests.
Yes.
Because it's common for the elderly to have osteoporosis, or sometimes if their bone is demineralized, they would be prone to fracture. So it is very important for them to sometimes have a companion, so that they do not slip and they do not have a fall injury and develop a fracture. And also, of course, most important is cardiovascular health assessments.
Okay.
Yeah, cardiovascular health assessments.
And doctor, you can
I forgot to mention colonoscopy. Colonoscopy 40 and 50.
for 40 and 50-year-olds. I mean, is it
Yeah.
for
50-year-old if there's no family history for colon cancer and other problems like diverticulosis. So yeah, there.
50 and above? Okay. So okay, all right, and then okay. So those are the tests that some of the tests, or the tests that people of a certain age should get, or you would recommend. And it's recommended anyway. If you read up on it, they are recommended. And I mean, thank you for reminding us of the plain X-ray, the front and the lateral view, because I remember earlier you said, yeah, we forget about TB nowadays. Maybe because more people are getting chest X-ray, so but I remember before, like, it was really like we had to get the chest X-ray. Why? What for? Well, could have that, or you can also see like an image of the heart there, right, or the lungs, and the lungs, of course. Okay, and then doctor, when you have a patient come in, can they also tell you what they'd like to test, and can they customize their package with the health hub?
Yes, of course. That's why, so as what I have mentioned earlier, they can just get the basic 5 package, and then if there are other tests that they want added and customized, they can freely customize their package, or what they would like to have done, especially if they have a relative who had this and that, so they want this to be checked. So we can yes, yeah. I actually have a friend, well, because her son passed on, had a massive heart attack previously. So she said, I want to get admitted and have angiogram. I'm like, oh, that's too sophisticated.
Yeah, that's so complicated.
For everything else, right before that. But of course, we can do that for your peace of mind. So yeah, so we can fully customize
And
at the health.
doctor, do these screenings, can you tell us the importance and can you emphasize the importance of the screenings and the checkups in the health hub? Like how much of a role they play in early detection of illnesses and or preventing worsening conditions from worsening?
So actually, I heard somebody say that our bodies are like cars. So we need to do preventive maintenance checkups. So just like the car at 1,000 kilometers, 5,000 kilometers, 10,000 and 20,000, we need to get some things checked. So just like the cars, we need to get checked up. So the good thing about getting the executive checkup is that some diseases or illnesses get diagnosed early because we had it tested, and some of these diseases or conditions do not have any clinical signs and symptoms yet. So early detection is means that we get to treat it earlier and prevent more morbidity or mortality on the patient. I actually remember a few weeks ago, there was a patient at the health hub through our outpatient unit, and she was so grateful. So when she asked for one of our doctors, and she said, you saw me last year. It was just an ordinary, routinary executive checkup that her company required. So she had it done. She was forced to have it done. And during the physical examination, the doctor palpated a breast mass. So in the mammogram, it was noted that it was breast cancer. She eventually had a lumpectomy and then chemotherapy. But now she was so happy after over a year. She was so happy to go back to the doctor who diagnosed her and, palpated the mass initially, because now she's in remission. So it is such a successful and happy experience that I think should be a learning experience for all and a lesson learned for all, that we should do our executive checkup. So did I convince you today to have yours done?
Yes, it's just a matter of scheduling. Okay, I'm gonna ask for your number. That way I can nag you and you can nag me. If you'd like to nag a patient to come in.
Really?
You might see me running around your hall. Yeah. I mean, shuffling patients around from doctor's appointment to another. It's just people I know or my relatives. I can't make it there right now, but then you could really try to just get me in there. But I should practice what I preach, and that's why I do the health show also, because I really do care, and it's something that's close to my heart. That's a wonderful story, doctor, and that really illustrates how something can be prevented. And this patient story that you told us, actually I'm told we are running out of time. If there's anything you'd like to say, anything about the health hub, or any message you have for patients for their health during the new year, anyone you'd like to say hi to, please feel free to do so.
So I would like to say hi to our staff and doctors at the Makati Med Health Hub. Please call the Makati Med trunk line 58s and 39s, and just ask to be connected at the Health Hub for any inquiry or any question about our packages and how you can book an appointment. Well, it's going to be the new year in a few days, or a few hours. I don't know when or maybe it's the new year already.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to have a new you. Get yourself checked because our health is our wealth. Thank you very much for inviting me today.
Thank you for being on the show, doctor. Please join us on the show more often and tell us. I mean, we know you have a health hub, but you can tell us about what's going on and what you offer. And I mean, general medicine, it's questions that it can we talk to a lot of specialists also, but there are so many questions that you can answer for a lot of listeners. Like, you would be the go-to person, the type of medicine that you practice also, like from the simplest things, or what you think might be the simplest things, up to the most complicated. We can kick it up, or just anything, because you're there. And thank you for taking care of patients in your health hub, and thank you to your staff. And by the way, I love your doctors. Your can you show us your doctor's razor, please?
My Dr. Laser, thank you so much.
Now I want one.
My husband.
Now I want one. Of course, I'm not a doctor, but it looks cool. I could be a unpaid amateur doctor's assistant. Okay.
Totally, as long as you get yourself checked,
okay, all right.
We'll see you at the Makati Med Health Hub soon.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I'll have to do that. Okay. Anyway, folks, thanks for tuning into the show, the last show for the year. We'll see you again next week on Healthline with Makati Med. Thank you, Dr. Cornejo. Okay, bye, folks. See you next week. Dr. Cornejo and I are going to have a chat before.
Your number.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Bye, guys. See you next week.
Thank you for tuning in to Healthline with expert doctors from Makati Med, giving you the chance to interact, uplifting your lifestyle. Moderated by Nicole Jacinto. Tune in again next week for your weekly dose of Healthline.
The views and comments of the hosts and guests are not necessarily those of the station.